You have to plan. You have to have more plays on the goal line for sure. You just don't do the same plays over and over again.
You lost because your coach sucks. He is so dumb. It is ridiculous. It takes a fourth down to get it up under.
X's with the O's. Billy, coach, Ottochian Sr. X's with the O's. With the tape they're gonna show. X's with the O's. X's with the O's. X's with the O's. Feeling coach really know. X's with the O's. Yeah, X's with the O's. X's with the O's.
We're going to take 5 plays and take down the comments.
All right, you got to look at this.
X with the O's, X with the O's, X with the O's, feeling coach really know. X with the O's, yeah, X with the O's. Yeah, welcome to the show. X's with the O's, father and son. Pops used to coach, Bill used to run. He'll burn you like toast. Determination in the heart, football in the soul. Breaking down the tape, keep you on your toes. Smash mouth up the gut, watch close like the front row. Blue 30 gay, hut. 3-step drop, can't rely on the punt. Scoop blocking, hard knocks like instrumentals. Coach O preaching footwork and fundamentals. If the O-line blocks hit the second level, dedication to the game is all mental. Dash pass of the outside zone. Gotta max protect, blocks feel right at home. Trolls in the blog, boys leave your cleats at home, cause this is our red zone. Yeah, X's with the O's. Feeling coach Ottochian Sr. X's with the O's. With the tape they're gonna show. X's with the O's, X's with the O's, X's with the O's, feeling coach really know. X's with the O's, yeah, X's with the O's. X's with the O's, feeling coach Ottochian Sr. X's with the O's, with the tape they're gonna show. X's with the O's, X's with the O's, X's with the O's, feeling coach really know.
What's up, guys? It's a Thursday, a pop-up show here at TTNL on the patron side. This is what we do here. We go to the tape, we go and destroy narratives with truth. That is the sole purpose. And today's show, we have a friend of the network, a guy I consider a brother, because vulnerability and compassion and brotherhood and all of these things that football is the ultimate sport to squeeze that essence of all of that out. This guy embodies that. And he really reached out to me and really felt like it was time to really destroy a narrative. I don't even know what he has to say yet. All I know is I wanted to buckle up. We got my father here with me, Coach X's with the O's. We got Bearlissimo, the executive producer, and brother over across the pond. And we're going to bring out Austyn Carta-Samuels, LockedinQb. If you're not following him on Instagram, you've seen him. He was on the Draft Mob show. I got to bring him on because he's on the West Coast. We got to get him on Keeping It 100 and introduce him to all the world and the fans. Maybe get him on BHL after a game. So right when it's happening after my rant, so he could be a part of this. Obviously, this is 911 emergency, right? Bringing this guy out here. Austyn Carta-Samuels. What's up?
What's happening, guys? Fired up to be back, man. Last time we brought the house down and had a bunch of really good feedback from a lot of people, and you guys got a passionate fan base out in Chicago, so let's get to work on this thing for sure.
Well, let's kick it off here. I want to give you the stage, really, to set the stage perfectly. Obviously, everybody's talking about it. Now the national media has caught up to our network where we were uncovering this truth.
Welcome to 2 years ago.
Exactly. So I want you know, you have played the position, you coach the position, you work with young kids at the position, college draft eligible players, and NFL quarterbacks. You see the full gambit. The stage is yours. Talk about what you felt in regards to Justin Fields and Matt Nagy here.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a complete travesty as you watched it. Now, you know, these coaches get paid a lot of money, and there's obviously no incentive for them to want to get fired or get called out by national media for being a dumpster fire. So, you know, I like to look at it through the lens of the other side, you know, and use my SEC coaching experience to try to put, you know, myself in Nagy's shoes and look at that game tape and say, like, what the hell was he thinking with what they did? And so, you know, within that have definitely, you know, seen some things through the tape that I think could have happened there. Obviously, we're going to hope that this isn't just pure negligence at the highest level of actually trying to sabotage a kid's experience as he's out there to prove a point or something like that. I like to think that people are better than that. And so for me, there's reasons on the tape to think that there were other things at work. Not any of which would excuse him, but could give you guys a little bit of perspective just on what they might be doing. Because coming from a quarterback himself, I don't understand how you put the kid in the situation that you put him in. And so there's a couple scheme things that I think that he might have been thinking about trying to do, which I think were proven to be completely wrong. But I think the most frustrating thing for you guys probably as well, and something that the guys on the network aren't going to love to hear is, guys, that was a very winnable football game, a very winnable football game. And, you know, just through the way the game transpired, the conservative nature of the way that the plays were called, the conservative nature of the sets and what they were doing offensively, they didn't give the kid a chance. And in that, you know, the negligent part of this whole thing is if that's your first start in the NFL, this is about 1, 2, 3 starts away from being permanently fucked up. And, you know, and that's something that obviously we'll talk about, and something that, you know, the demons of him and Trubisky, I think presented themselves again on Sunday. And the issue with that is that would mean that Nagy has no understanding for the fact that he's basically coaching complete opposite quarterbacks, that Trubisky and Fields are the exact opposite in nature. And so they are to be treated completely opposite. And I almost felt like the demons and scars of his experience with Trubisky was how he called the game on Sunday. And that would mean that he has no understanding of the difference between those two quarterbacks. So just some of the things that we'll talk about, but I want you guys to hit me with a bunch of stuff as well, because it was tough to watch. And truthfully, it was, you know, basically the whole first 2.5 quarters was complete garbage. And then with about 6 minutes left in the third quarter, whether it was him or the offensive coordinator made a conscious decision to say, fuck it, we're going to try to actually do something offensively. And they went their first boot off of the most basic stretch action play from under center of all time, and then ran their first RPO the next play, where it would have been a complete pass, except the offensive guard got in the way of the snag route, which looked like a complete disaster as well. But
yeah, Jason Peters, that was.
Yeah. So it was tough, but I want to get started into it for sure, Phil. I'm excited to do this.
Well, let me ask you this, and we'll go around with my father too. It's you and my dad here. Just think there's context here, because this coach has openly admitted, I called it the moment Dorothy pulled back the curtain and saw that it was this old man pulling buttons and making this wizard it was like he said, wow, this week of practice, and I'm paraphrasing, we're really understanding what this kid is capable of doing. We're seeing him for the first time with the ones. Now, this kid has been there since April. That to me is the showcase of negligence right there. And then to throw him out there, Carta-Samuels. I always do this. Austyn, to throw him out there and not get under center, get his feet under him, get the freaking drops in. I just always believe, talk about this, that it's so important that you can't line up in shotgun 50 times. Like, get them under center. This is the NFL. Run downhill, establish David Montgomery. That's the identity of your offense. Justin's a rookie. Any rookie's going to struggle. So that in above itself, you're starting off at gun. The first play, it was a read, automatic give, 17 yards, David Montgomery. That's how you start the game. Then all of a sudden, where did the run game go? Where did the emphasis?
It was 41 yards to Montgomery the week before, and he was like, "No, we're not doing that again."
Exactly. So honestly, I really believe, and I want you to talk about, like, how do you not go in there looking as a scout or your whole stat? This is a $1 billion franchise. Yeah. How do you not scout the Cleveland Browns and say, hey, when I look at Cleveland, it's number 95. He's their Khalil Mack. And then it's the other guy, number 90 on the other side. We got to block them up to help this young guy in his first game. To me, everywhere he's fumbled. That's why it's like, did he do that? Like, people that
let's just run scat protection against him as well.
Yeah. Did you want this kid to fail? That kind of question has to be answered in this, or is it just complete? This is Nagy, the same guy I've been yelling at for years, saying, you know what? We're going to run my offense. We're not going to do quick. We're not going to do 3-step game, slants, fades, attack downfield, run the ball. We're going to do my game. So answer first you, Austyn, and then my father. I want to hear how a coach can do this to a first-time starter.
Yeah, my only logical response on how a coach could do this is, you know, when I was at Vanderbilt University my senior year, we played the University of Missouri, and they had 6 NFL defensive linemen on their defense. And what we realized was that if we went in empty sets, that they automatically went into 3 downs. So they took one of those NFL defensive linemen off the field. And so we stayed in empty for most of the game, and we would tick our running back into the backfield if we wanted to run the ball from those empty sets, so that essentially they had 3 down personnel in the whole game while we were doing what we were doing. So right. At first glance, despite just, you know, the opposite of just being purely negligent with the game plan, my thought would be that he wanted to spread the Browns out as much as possible, limit their activity around the box, and allow Justin to see everything pre-snap and have an understanding of what was going on pre-snap. The problem with that is that goes completely against the way that Justin Fields was managed at Ohio State and what Ryan Day did for him at Ohio State. And it basically says, we're going to play our good on your good. And right now, with where the Bears offense is and where the Browns defense is, that's an insane decision. So, exactly. You know, based off of the tape, like, that's the only thing that I could see. And that's why I start getting into, you know, a little bit of the conspiracy theorist in me, which is, was Trubisky kind of a guy who froze and was nervous, and anything around the box spooked him? So they wanted to do the opposite because of their scars with Trubisky and say, hey, Justin, you're a spread quarterback, which is really bullshit, because when you watch Ohio State, like, they used action and they used the run game in order to open receivers for him. Right. They flooded zones. They got him on the move. They called a game that was working with his skill set. Basically, you had a Zach Wilson game plan this week, just in terms of pure passer who can spread the ball all around the field. Exactly. And yet, again, the concepts were so fucking vanilla, and most of them were happening 10 and 12 yards down the field, which just shows a complete ignorance for the fact that Myles Garrett is lining up in one-on-one pass rush against your guys' offensive line. And you know, we talked about it a little bit, Phil, but that's the most frustrating part, guys, is that as you watch this tape, like, the Browns literally ran cover 4, cover 2, and 1 lurk. They very rarely brought blitz. When they did, it was one guy, which is still 5-man pressure. And for a rookie quarterback, like, what Justin saw wasn't difficult to understand what was going on. And I think it's an insult on his intelligence as well, because he's actually a very smart football player. And so to put him back there, it was just helpless. It looked awful. And, you know, he sailed that one hitch route early in the game, which, you know, that was alarming. You know, that was a bad ball. Bad balls happen, but it just speaks to the nature of you getting sacked 9 times. You're in your first start out there against a defense that has great players up front. You're getting no help. There's nothing that the offense is doing in design and concept at all to open anything up for you. And probably the most embarrassing part is your guys' defense is so good that they
wasted it.
You guys have chosen to get, I mean, this week, you know, Nagy decided to get extremely conservative when you're playing a team that is really built very similarly to the way that you're built. And it's going to come down to, in all of your offensive possessions, they're not going to score a ton and you're not going to score a ton. Exactly. So run the football and then have some balls and do some exotic shit down the field to create that 1 or 2 touchdowns within a game that win the game for you. Because that whole game was damn near a 1-score game. And don't get me started on 4th and 1 from the fucking 3-yard line, down 13-3. It's like this is not the time to go for a 1-score game right now, guys, and get this thing to 7 when you haven't been able to consecutively string together 3 first downs the entire game. Now is the time to really up the heat on that offense, bring your defense on the field in a 3-point game, or worst case scenario, they probably get a fucking safety the next drive, and then you get the ball back. So it was just frustrating on all fronts, but we'll have a lot to talk about within that. But that's kind of the elevator start to how all this thing got going.
Dad, real quick, and then we'll get into some tape.
Well, I didn't see
rookie quarterback. I know you didn't see the game, but
and I haven't seen any tape on him either.
You know, Justin.
I got to tell you,
go ahead.
I think he's a great quarterback, and we said it all along. We got 2 weak spots on that on our offensive line, and both of those guys have failed, include Peters,
yes.
Right. Both they failed, and the one tape one play you showed me, Bearlissimo, is there, and that's what we've been complaining about all 3 weeks about the offensive line. Now, I'm sure all those things that you just said, Austyn, are true, but you got to start with that first. It doesn't make a difference what you can do offensively. If you can't block that, you're dead in the water. And that's what happened with New England when I was watching them. They can't block it. And I think that's what the fundamental things is. Both sides of that line, I don't know any intelligent guy who knows football can't talk about offensive and defensive lines. The most important things in football. You got to have them. And if you can't block it, the kid can't succeed. But you can help him. Like you said, make an adjustment. Come out with 2 tight ends and run 3-man patterns.
Exactly.
But do something to help the kid.
Exactly. It should have been. It should have been
with the tight end.
I'm just letting you know, like, spoiler alert. If I'm the head coach or offensive coordinator of the Chicago Bears and I'm going up against the Browns, this isn't hindsight. This would be my plan. It would be Jimmy Graham on the bench. It would be Cole Kmet and Jesse James at the tight end, David Montgomery at the running back, and 2 receivers. And there I'm attacking them and I'm setting up for more, because once you body blow somebody, they're going to drop their hands. They're going to protect that body. And that's when you can get your down the field things. People don't understand, especially the media. And this will be my last point. George is doing some artwork here. My last point. The media, and Austyn, you're going to talk about this. My father's going to talk about. You can throw the ball down the field with 3-step drops. In fact, the best quarterbacks, that's where they do. They see the coverage. Oh, the safety's dropping down. They look off 1, 2, and They just dropped the ball in the bucket. That's when you get people backing out of their aggressiveness because you're throwing the ball on 3-step drops. It could be coached up, you max protect, and you get the right matchup that you wanted. Matt Nagy did none of that for his quarterback this weekend. So here we go. We'll look at this now, George. What do we got here? Looks like it's first quarter. No, it's second quarter. It must be, or fourth.
I think we're early in the game, but it's obviously it's cover 2 pre-snap. You got 1 off and 1 up.
Yep.
In terms of the loading on the line, that's the sort of the one I sort of pointed out. That for me is the mic. But then you've got 3 defensive linemen here and Garrett up there. So, I mean, in terms of what do they do in terms of – that's a safety there, but up as a backer. So what are they showing? They're sort of bluffing here, aren't they, with the 2 backers?
Yeah.
And that's it. You've got one coming, a sort of a stunt there, straight around the outside, straight. In terms of, what's Justin going to look at? He's looking left side at first, even though we've got, off here. Montgomery actually into block, and that's the problem is, he's getting to his drop. So he's in gun at 5. Yep. Now he's back at 10. By the time he's actually hitched, he manages to get out of that and then run straight back into trouble the other side.
You'll see it on the coaches. Is it too deep of a drop? Is Jason Peters' dad not go to the coach's angle so we could see it? This was concern for me as I'm breaking it down today. Look at how deep he gets. Peters is waiting there, and it's just become right into the the lane. He could step up there. You got a little bit of a pocket. Yeah,
well,
this
is
the 4th quarter.
Oh, it's different
because Herbert's in the game. Khalil Herbert. But again, it's total chaos back there.
Yeah. Peters right now in that situation with that guy way out that wide, I think you got to come straight back. He's already turned his shoulders.
Exactly. He got beat.
I think he's got to come straight back. Of course, the line, it depends on which way the center made the call. It looks like it's left. Let's see what. He's calling it right.
He's calling it right, isn't he?
I think he called it to the right.
Right.
Which, in terms of sheer numbers, that's what he's looking at, isn't he? He's looking at numbers. So he's calling it right. I mean, although what he should be looking at is who's the mic, isn't he? Which is there.
Yeah. Here, guys, that's just a 4-2 box, basic 4-2 box. They put 3 defensive linemen on the right side of the line of scrimmage for us, or right side of the center for us. Okay. Well, a defense has to be gap sound. Okay. So as they rush, right, they're going to have to have gap integrity, is what they call it. Right. So if I see 3 defensive linemen to the right side, I can assume that there's going to be somebody that's going to come through A or B gap to the right or left of our left guard, 65. So all they're doing is gap exchange here. They're trying to confuse Justin Fields a little bit, but this doesn't confuse Justin Fields. Justin Fields knows what's going on here. That's basic 101 football. The problem happens in the secondary because if you go back to the wide angle, right, you can put the ball out to the flat down here to the field very quickly, very easily, and make them respect you. We call it smoke, right? If I throw the ball out to the Z right now and then the slot goes and attacks the corner, I'm gaining 6 to 7 yards. Okay.
Yes.
I will do that. I will do that until you adjust defensively to respect us at the line of scrimmage. Anything else within this concept, as you look at this concept, is late developing and late breaking. Like Tom Brady may have been able to get to the tight end, checking it down right here quickly. Maybe as the GOAT, who's been in it for 20 years. Maybe he would have been able to do that. Okay.
Great point.
But does Justin Fields take a little bit too much depth in his drop? Yes, but what are you doing simplistically as we look at the big picture of this? This is a basic cover 3-week defense where they're playing soft as shit down here to the field and tight to the boundary. Well, a rookie quarterback is not going to play tight to the boundary versus single high free access. He's going to play the field. As you look at the field, you have a deep climb and you have a fucking post or something that doesn't break until you get to 12 yards. So you're putting the quarterback in a situation where you're basically saying, this is 6-man pro right here. It might be 7-man pro. The tight end might be taking any blitzer in what we call the strong triangle, and the back would be taking any blitzer in the weak triangle. But either way, we're 5 for 5 here, the way it sets up. So he either needs to get to the tight end immediately, but by play concept and play design, what the coaches are saying is that we are going to be able to protect this and we're going to be able to throw this ball down the field. And neither of those two things happen or are true. So could Justin Fields potentially have taken a little bit shorter drop and gotten down to that tight end in the flat extremely quickly, like maybe Brady or Breeze or one of those guys would be able to do at this stage in their career? Yes. But that is just an example of just setting your quarterback up to fail.
Is he told from that gun to do a 5-step drop? Because that's what it looks like to me. Because we got this runoff, post, deep out, and then check release.
I mean, and that's part of the growing pains and why you have to protect him a little bit. In college, right, he had an Ohio State offensive tackle against, you know, any Big Ten defensive end. Well, that's Myles Garrett, one of the top 5 players potentially overall at his position, the entire league. And so this is something that he's going to have to learn. You know, he's supposed to take 3 and a hitch here. It's supposed to be the drop. He does take 5, okay, which is too much, obviously. It's the depth that becomes a concern. So like I teach my quarterbacks, right? We're going to take our drop and we're going to stay underneath the framework of our body at all times, which had he done 3 and a hitch, he would have been perfectly fine. The issue with 5 and a hitch here is watch him pause the tape when he gets to the top of his drop. Okay, so he's at 5 yards of depth from the ball. He gets to 10.5 to 11 yards. Well, guys, I make football really simple, which is why guys like my coaching. And what I'm going to say is let's just line up a traffic cone on the outsides and set them as our tackles. And then say, that's Myles Garrett who runs a 4.5 at 6'5" and 290 or 270, right? Like, I don't give a shit who my left tackle is. At what yard marker is he going to be able to turn the corner? As you look at Myles Garrett or Von Miller or any of these guys, they are going to fuck you up if you're 8 yards or deeper. So no matter what, your drop from under center, I don't care what the concept is down the field. You can't get outside the framework of that 8 yards, or you're forcing yourself to have to create conflict climb up into the pocket. So essentially, Justin, if he's going to take this 5-step drop from gun here, he's also basically saying, I'm going to have to double hitch off of it to try to get back up into the pocket. So he puts his left tackle in a fucking terrible position. Okay. But again, is that Justin's fault? I don't know. There's no way that they're teaching this guy to take 5 and a hitch from gun when he's already at 5 yards of depth. Because, guys, this damn near, I mean, it's obviously shorter than a drop in 1990 when we're under center, but like it looks similar. And it's like, guys, that's from under center. We're trying to separate from the fucking line of scrimmage so that we can get back into what I call the eye of the hurricane at 6.5 to 5 yards. Like, we're already there. We're already there. That's why Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady and these guys, they don't fucking take drops from gun. They literally catch the ball, stare at the line of scrimmage, take one punch step, and then they sit in the pocket. Like, instead, we're climbing up like this is Harry High School, and like we have to double climb forward off of it. It's just creating unnecessary conflict for this kid. Not to mention that with his legs, all you need to do is keep him safe from those ends because he'll have room to work up through the pocket also.
Hold on. Let's go back to the play, George. One last thing, because I want him just to – for the fans, and I think it's the most important thing to finalize this right there. Stop it. Austyn, please. Here we are again, way off here. Talk about the smoke. Is that a check? Is that something that he is allowed to call. That has to be something that you put in for your quarterback to make that corner honest. To your point, that's exactly what I'm looking at the tape. There is no check with me at the line. There's a toss play in here. They're overloaded.
That's generally the problem with Nagy's scheme, isn't it? There is no variation in it. It's just run this play. That's it.
Exactly. That it just seems like it's just run. It should be, to your point, which right in the beginning, everything technically. I mean, I saw Vito, I see a bunch of you. If you're just tuning in or you're watching this, we're going to be releasing this to the public. So if you're watching this Friday night, this is what we do on our Patreon channel. We got Austyn Carta-Samuels. This guy is legit. Follow him on Instagram at LockedinQb. This is the analysis we're talking about. Smoke route. He just takes the snap, understands it's way off, and he chucks it out there on a dime, and it puts, what is that, Darnell Mooney over here?
Darnell Mooney, yeah.
Darnell Mooney versus that corner with the slot receiver running off and attacking that nickel corner, or it might be a strong save or that extra. I forget. Number 28 played a hell of a football game.
Owusu Koromoa is a linebacker. He's outside linebacker.
They use him like a nickel corner. This kid from Notre Dame,
isn't it? He's like a nickelbacker for him.
So he's playing on a slot receiver. He runs up, blocks him, and then Darnell Mooney just catches and runs. That should be especially Austyn, because this is something he did at Ohio State very often. He saw, okay, they're way off there. You want to play that game with me? Sure. There's a call, whether it be blue 7, blue. Then everybody knows. Now he catches, release, turn, and throw it to Mooney, catches it. He runs up the football field. Then they're getting out of this shit. They're like, oh. But there's no answer for Justin. That's why I feel like everything you're saying, 5 steps from shotgun, which you're already 5, that puts you at 10. It doesn't make sense. You think Jason Peters isn't fired up that his coach made him look even shittier?
No, exactly.
You're like, I'm a professional. I've been doing this forever. My drop is here. The quarterback's behind. Everything's blowing up because of this stuff. It just drives me insane. There's no checks. There's nothing. There's nothing for this.
Well, he actually said that in a press conference, wasn't it? No checks.
Yes.
Rules.
Thank God Grody asked him, is there a check with me? Is there a way for him to change the play? No. He's just got to run the play. What?
So should we go to the next play?
Yes. Sorry.
It's all right. I know. Sometimes we do like to get in. We do like to get into rants, and this is very rant worthy.
Can you imagine, like, Austyn? All right, Austyn's our QB coach. This shit ain't happening. That's all I'm telling. People get upset about that, but I just know there's got to be like my dad. You taught me, if you're gonna run counter, you're gonna run counter against every goddamn front, so they all learn. These guys don't know their rules. Watch this offense. Watch this play. I mean, 65, please. What are you doing? Jesus Christ.
He's dancing. He's chasing, isn't he?
Oh, my God. It's like
I'm not even sure
chop, like Frankenstein. When I watch this play, I'm like, what in God's green earth are you doing?
With this mesh, Austyn, he hasn't even got time to run the mesh fake and throw it straight to Komet, which I think is his read here.
Right. Yep. What he's supposed to read is he's supposed to read the outside linebacker here. This is just inside zone. Okay. And as we run inside zone, off of our inside zone, we have a flat pull with our tight end. Yep. So the guy that you've circled there is the guy who he's supposed to be reading. So
leverage.
Is this a give read? It is. It's a give read. Now, situationally, like Justin's probably trying to do more than he has to here because of the way that the game's going in a lot of that situation. But the issue is, right, like as you look at the front, like you have not made this defense threatened by your running game at all throughout the entire game. So what the fuck do you expect this action to do? You know, what do you expect this action to do? And so it's just like the last play. You have not made them you have not made them respect your perimeter passing game at all. You haven't put the ball on the perimeter at all. And we're going to run fucking post over and complete it against a soft zone coverage. Like, it's just not going to happen. So now we're going to run RPO, even though we haven't run the ball effectively through the game, and expect for this to hit. Your issue on the offensive line, they've actually secured the nose really well, or secured the one technique really well. It's the block of the right tackle. He gives the defensive end leverage inside. He has to set inside so that that defensive end plays his responsibility, which is contain up the field. And then you'll have that gap, and you'll be working that right guard up to the mic there in the box. And then that center will overtake that one technique, right? And then we'll go block 20, 21 or whoever the hell that is out on the perimeter. We're gaining yards, but you have to gain yards on the ground in order to open up any type of RPO play. And so there was no commitment to the run early in the game. And with that, guys, like, what I was most frustrated about is when your team or your offense, you know, quote unquote sucks, which I don't even think your guys' offense sucks. I think your coaches suck. Is what you have to do is you have to create situations where you have overloads. So whether that means I motion my receiver into the backfield and he just fucking hammers up the field at the point of attack, or we run an unbalanced set with an extra offensive lineman out as a tight end to one side, we're going to do some exotic things just to create 3 and 4 yards in the run game. Exactly. And that's what's so embarrassing for you guys. And what we're watching within this offense is we can't gain 2, 3, and 4 yards consistently, which is easy to do in the NFL. Okay. And the reason is because we have this conservative ass approach that says our defense is so good, we'll just try and then see what happens, and our defense will take care of us. When the reality is, what you should be saying is yards are a fucking premium. If I gain 3 yards, that is massive for our defense and flipping this field on every play. So I'm going to allow myself to, hey, if I go into 2nd and 7, 3rd and 4, and then I miss the conversion, we've still at least moved the fucking football. Guys, you were in second down, 11 second downs, and 10 of them were 8 yards plus. Exactly. 10 of them were 8 yards plus. That's shitty coaching, because coaching is really 1st and 10. Like, it's a lot more players on 2nd and 3rd down to make plays based on what's going on. It's 1st down where coaches have to put their kids in an opportunity to be successful, or grown men in an opportunity to be successful. And just the fact that my high school quarterback can check shit on the perimeter whenever he wants, and this guy has fucking rules and not checks. It's embarrassing, and it's negligent. And again, you're going to, you know, unless Justin Fields right now is sitting there and has great mentorship and says, my coach is on bullshit, I'm going to take a deep breath, I'm going to be all right. Like, nothing that I'm hearing right now is real. This guy's a moron. If he doesn't think that to himself right now, if he's internalizing this, again, he's about 1 or 2 games away from being a completely different quarterback forever. I
totally agree. And I think, listen, this play here, I believe, is 4th quarter right here. This is the 4th quarter. So to Austin's point, it's almost like you're just doing this to go through the motions, because you can't run at this time. You're down. So he doesn't even, you give automatic. This is a read give. To your point, Dad, watch the right tackle, Dad. Talk about the right tackles effort here. Started from the beginning, George. Give a little offensive line analysis here. First of all, his stance, he's already cocked out. See him? He's turned out. So now you've already got him. Look, why are we dancing here? Chop, 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 suey.
My problem with his footwork is he's up and down and not towards the point.
Exactly. So attack him. All you got to do is swing your ass, just like Austyn said. You already have this. Just, you have to press, why are you standing straight up?
You got to press that thing inside out. So when he oversets here and he gets outside, right now he's okay, besides the fact that it's pretty soft. Like, he can close that distance. But again, he's not working inside out. That step, that right foot step, right? This next one. No, not that one. That one sets him too wide, and now you've turned that defensive end into a 2-gap player who can tackle inside or outside. You're fucked.
All he has to do is drive to that inside shoulder and drive his ass out of there. Drive his ass. Great coaching point, Austyn. You now made him be able to read 2 gaps by taking on and taking that extra step and not taking a power step.
Instead of going there and having position, what he's basically done is he's kind of gone.
We had a step towards the point of attack. That's all.
Exactly. Don't chop.
What's your point of attack? The inside hip of that guy or the inside shoulder? That's where you step.
Exactly. He doesn't do it. And these are fundamental. Look, now let's watch the guard. Watch 65's first step here. It's back. And it's wide. He looks like he's on a freaking surfboard right here. Look at him. What is he, Von Damme? He's going to do a split here? What are we doing here? This is the stuff that gets me so fired up when I watch. It's like, this is the NFL? Austyn, a high school offensive guard is not doing that on Friday Night Lights. But we're doing it with a rookie. Look at this. He's in the head. I guarantee. Justin, 660 fake power zone inside zone right fake play action double curl post, and he's like, okay, coach, whatever it is, kangaroo sit.
He's trying to throw commit, isn't he?
But yeah, he is.
That's
but look,
right in his face.
He pushed him into the goddamn corner. Now he can't do it. Now he's running for his life. Now he's just throwing it away. Good job. Just throw it away. There's the one positive right there.
Should we move on?
Yes. Yeah. It's unfortunate, but there is not one play here. I'm just letting you know. I've gone through the tape like 7 times now. There's not one offensive line play of any of these plays that they blocked appropriately. Not one. Maybe you can say the first play where David Montgomery takes it for 17. So I'll say one play out of every play. Here we go. George is drawing it up. Again, look at the tackle overset. It's a screen, for God's sake. The right tackle. Like, oh my God. Jesus Christ. Just let him in the door. Watch. He lets him in the building like security. Hey, you VIP? Sure, come this way. Watch. Oh my God. This is a screen, Dad. You imagine? His responsibility is to keep Justin clean on the backside. Look at David Montgomery. He's the best player on offense, and it's not even close. I keep telling you that. Well, here we go. I'll shut up now. Freaking screen. Here's Von Damme again, though. 65. Look at how wide. Watch the center, George. Watch. I
don't know. I mean, he's obviously trying to get out onto Owusu Koromoa, isn't he? That's what.
Watch what he does, though. It's. I get nobody.
Well, he doesn't have the speed. That's the number one thing that I noticed.
Watch this though. Everybody watch the center. Then Austyn could break down the quarterback and everything. Watch the center. I'm going out. I know my guy. What are you doing? Meet him at the alley. Yeah, you don't chase. Meet. Nope. Can't do it.
Because he doesn't have the speed. Nor the desire, probably.
Desire more so than anything, in my opinion.
Well, I can look at him running. He doesn't have speed. He's not a good runner. Just take a look at him.
He's chop. He
runs like he's got his shoelaces tied together for me.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. Like lift your feet. This kid should never be starting center in the NFL. No way.
Well, look at Ifedi as well. Is exactly the same. It's just
Ifedi is just walking in the park one day.
Well, we said that guy doesn't belong there.
These are the 2 weak spots.
Yep.
Look at Montgomery. Whew.
He's unbelievable.
He is a freaking. So Austyn, here we go. Justin Fields. Obviously, chaos is going around him. This is a simple screenplay. Again, later in the game.
Yep, this is where we
did exactly the same thing.
Yeah, we just get right back into the play call and design and why you run a screen. Like, why do you run a fucking screen? You run a screen when teams are blitzing you. Okay.
Right.
They weren't blitzing. So don't know that and don't know the reason for that. You also basically when you throw screens is when you have an active defensive line that's extremely aggressive up the field, and then your linebacker level is dropping heavily into zone so that you can fill that layer that is the line of scrimmage, right? Well, your linebackers aren't threatened by your pass game at all throughout the day, so they're staying at that linebacker level. Your defensive line, as you watch these guys and how they rush, they're really aggressive off the edges, but they were told this is Justin Fields, dude. He can run, right? So the 1 technique and the 3 technique are not doing what Myles Garrett's doing. They're sitting in there and they're basically 2-gapping inside. Now, are they closing the pocket for you? Yeah, they're pushing that pocket back, but the ends are the ones that are screamers. So again, as you get into play design and why we're running this fucking play, it's like, there's your tackle ready to make the play on the screen because he's never trying to pin his ears back and rush the quarterback. And then you have a linebacker at linebacker level who's never been threatened by concepts down the field throughout the course of the game. So why the fuck would he get any depth? He doesn't get any depth. And now he's making that tackle in the backfield. And that's what's crazy is you watch some of these plays. It's like Montgomery is so good. He's able to make it happen. I think there was one out in the red zone where Justin threw it out into the flat on like 3rd and 14 and he gained like 11 yards when nothing was there. It's like, it's not that hard when your defense is that fucking good. But
look at the two guys right there. They're in position to make the play. How the hell did he get out of here?
100%. It's
50 actually blocks for us. He's over pursuing.
Yes, he's over pursuing.
That's the reason why. It's because Montgomery makes him take out Owusu Koromoa, who is actually in man.
He takes himself out of it.
He does. He just gives him a little whoop with his head, and then that's it.
He's so good.
There's just too many hats within proximity of the football. There's four hats that are within proximity of making a play on a screen. Like, and I'm talking about the backside nose as well, the 1 technique. Like, you have 4 dudes who are all in proximity. A screen has to be ball to me up the field. Okay. If you make me dance at all, I'm fucked. There's pursuit coming to me. Lineman redirect. So as you look at this thing, again, there's no threat to the pass here. There's no drop. There's no heavy rush from the interior. So right now, when he throws this football, you have a linebacker in pursuit. You have a D tackle who's redirected. You have another D tackle who's chasing this down from the other side. So your offensive linemen look like morons because they have no clue who they're supposed to take because the play call was completely inefficient. You have 4 fucking hats around the ball on a screen. If you call a screen, it should be 1 guy on 2 fucking linemen, elephants on parade, charging down the field. And that is not this picture at all. So it's a completely ineffective play call.
That's the thing for
David
me.
overcomes
He's actually driving on it. He's driving on it right there because David's looking back at Justin and Justin's looking at David, so he knows exactly where it's going. He's driving it. Like I say, it's only because 58 over pursues and takes him out that this isn't a loss.
And the left defensive end
Montgomery
is in a position to make the play too.
So there we go. Let's move on to the next one. This is one of the ones where there is an interesting look, I think, Austyn. I'm interested to see what you make of this.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously 1 high.
Yeah.
You got these guys stacked on the outside.
Yeah.
And I think this is the reason why they call it in terms of the weights here. They don't call it to the weight because you've got a double A.
Yep.
And then you've got these guys over here. And I think the problem is that they're calling to these two, looking at it as an overload. And it's not. I mean, this guy's actually manned on the back.
Again.
And Owusu Koromoa is coming. The other linebacker's robbing the slant because you've got trips this side. So that one's robbing slant. Yep. He's coming. And that's really the only thing that's on here for me at the moment. But, you know, Justin Fields is looking this way. I'm not sure what he's looking at, Austyn. So other than the dagger maybe from the halfback.
Yeah, let it play for another half a second. Yeah, I mean, he'll get more used to this, but this is the defense fucking with you. So, I mean, as you look at this thing, right? So this presentation, what they're doing is we call it Abby. They're mugging the A and B gap inside with linebackers. Okay. What that does is that it puts all your scat protection rules in jeopardy. So, like, as you're sitting there and you're trying to work out who's protecting who, it basically is very difficult for the front, which is when the quarterback is supposed to help them out. How does the quarterback help them out? He looks up top. So as he sees his bunch set of 3 receivers up there, there's only 2 men in what you could even call man relationship in those 2 guys back in the secondary. So this is a zone defense to the top of the screen. It has to be, right? They would have another linebacker at that level out there if it were man coverage. If it's a zone defense to that side of the field and you have a bubble built in off the bunch, you play the bubble. Okay. So this is where, you know, Fields could improve. We have no clue what his rules, you know, are telling him on this play. Okay. But as you look at it, you know, it's a zone defense to the top. And then down here, and this is what the NFL can do, like they're playing a combo coverage. So it's man to the boundary, which is why that blitzing linebacker peels with the running back. We call it peels. The linebacker has to man up the running back if the back takes out on a route. Okay. And then they're zoning to the top. And because they're zoning, they're dropping one of those backers. That's inside the box, right? In the A and B gaps there. He kicks to the field. So basically, like, as you look at this thing, and again, situation and down and distance always plays a factor in this stuff. Typically, NFL defenses do this on 3rd down. Okay. But if you understand, and this is where I don't like, Justin to me is a very intelligent quarterback. So I think Justin actually has high football aptitude. So it's clearly, you know, the coaching that he's had that is just not allowing him to simplify it like this. But, you know, this is day 1 shit. You're going to get Abby looks. You're going to get muggers in the box. And what you need to look at is, are we 3 over 3 or are we 2 over 3? We're 2 over 3. That's a zone defense. I have a bubble built into it. They're going to have some quick hitting action to that side of the field. That is his quick hitting action right there on that bubble. Throw the fucking bubble. So, you know, whether it's the rules that were given to him or just the lack of talking out what to do against an Abby look, again, I think that he's a very smart quarterback. So to me, it's just that they didn't play it out. They didn't talk this out, what they would do against an Abby front.
So let me ask you this.
I think the problem for Nagy against looking at an Abby look is they don't run it in the Arena League.
Let me ask you this. Say you did have them with the ones or have him practicing through preseason and he's getting his reps, he would have seen something like this come up. So when you came to actual game time, you would have that experience that would have helped him out. Am I right?
No, you're exactly right. And then the bigger issue on top of that is, okay, we fucked that up. Like we didn't give him reps in camp. Well, he hasn't seen this yet. So we're going to call a game that is going to have action built into it, that's going to incorporate his legs, that's going to threaten the defense in different ways in order to simplify those reads. I mean, it's easy, guys, to go base boot, even against a great defensive line, and go flat pull, pin down with the tackle or tight end, and then release out late into the flat and have some over route working. And if it's all fucking covered, run for 4 yards or throw the ball out of bounds. And you didn't see that stuff. Instead, you saw the most bullshit play action stretch call in the 3rd quarter I've ever seen. There was just nothing exotic. Nothing.
I think I've got that play.
Well,
this is the thing. For me, he doesn't even hitch here, Austyn. He just runs. On that last step, he's already deciding he's running.
Well, because the center doesn't pick up the right guy.
Well, yeah, they've called it right again, haven't they? And the problem is, even if they call straight, because you've got a double A look.
Yeah. So
you can't really commit one side either because you don't know who's coming. So even if you call head up.
But he has to be centered. See how he turns?
That's that, and that's that.
Exactly.
And all you're worried about is who's coming.
Exactly.
You know?
So
yeah, it's basic scat protection. What I'm extremely alarmed by is any time that we saw this front and you have a back in the backfield, you check this into 6-man pro. Because you're not
totally agree.
You're not going to be able to pick this thing up in 5-man pro. How the hell is the offensive line supposed to know who's going to come out of these 7 guys right now? How are they supposed to know?
What if all you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all 7 come?
All 7 can't
Then
come.
you hit the wheel.
No, but
if
that's what
they
I'm
did
saying.
that. If
All-
they did, you hit the freaking guy. If he
100%, but the only case where 7 guys could come is if that free safety in the middle of the field was head up leverage
down,
over that bunch, and it was cover
That's
0
true.
with 3 over 3. Like, you know that they can't bring 7 here, but they can bring any 6 that they want. So if that back is not involved in protection, good fucking luck. What you have to do is you have to re-ID the mic in that situation and change it to 6-man pro. There was no re-identification of the mic. The back went out. So essentially you were in 5-man scat protection against a 7-up look. You're fucked. You're completely fucked.
That's the name of Matt Nagy's
cover
play
4 beaters. Cover 4 beaters, Austyn, with 2x2.
Yeah, cover
So-
4 cover 4 in the NFL is really an insult to offensive play calling, okay? Because they're playing base zone, they're playing a conservative style of defense. It's a 4 deep, 3 under defense. You have to flood zones. And that's what I was the most frustrated by. You have to flood zones. You have to have crossing routes that fill voids that have been exploited. So as you look at this thing, I mean, yeah, basic stuff would just be, double post, 8, you could do that. Like think double post down to the bottom right here. Double post.
Double post.
Okay? Yep. Then you got the back goes straight to the flat here to the right. So down. No, the running back goes straight to the flat to the post side.
No.
Oh, right, this side.
Other way. The running back goes flat down here.
Go.
Exactly. Then you run your slot receiver to the top on a drag that then converts into a corner. So it goes now to that void. Exactly. You're wide open, right? Like, you flood zones. You do shit like that.
Exactly.
Where you clear out defenders and then you pin and pull defenders down. These guys were in zone defense all day. Some would say, well, Austyn, that's super long developing. No, it's not, dude. It's a drag route that you anticipate, and you just throw a little bit of touch on this ball, and it's a quick hitter, and you mask it with your split because he tightens his split all the way down. But you have to flood zones like that. What I watched as I was watching this through the tape was I just slant bubble. Curl. It's like, dude, like
curl.
I'm watching a fucking high school defense against a high school offense.
Let's see what routes we get against quarters.
There it is, slant bubble. There's slant flat.
Let's throw curls.
Yeah. Slant flat to the bottom and curl flat to the top, or slant flat to the top. Both of which are terrible zone beating concepts. Justin has to get to the back as quickly as possible or run the football here because they're 4 over 4. Not only that, look at this, guys. If they respected your run at all, they'd have a 4-2 fucking box. It's a 4-1 box.
It's a 4-1.
Their outside linebackers are saying, you guys are such dog shit in the running game that we're going to play the passing game on the perimeter. Like, the defenses don't do this unless they do not respect you at all. Tom Brady would laugh at this shit. So yeah, it's just basic. It's back to high school football mirrored concepts. Hey, let's run mirrored concepts. It's like, yeah, that's gonna work against an NFL.
I love you, Austyn.
I appreciate it.
How could you not? He's keeping it 100. That's what you do.
I mean, bless him. Justin's doing his best with this, isn't he? But
well, it's like handicapping. It is crippling.
Truthfully, just no indication of who Justin Fields is at all. You guys don't know any more today than you did on before Sunday. You know nothing more. It
traps him. Look, as he just stares down to the left. Like, what do I do? I'm just going to take this long pitcher's mound stride and throw it. Hopefully, my best receiver will catch it.
Well, that's where he's going, isn't he? He's going to Robinson. That's his hope.
And you guys have watched this too, which is like, part of my passion is obviously quarterback mechanics, and we're changing the world with that stuff right now as well and making it a lot simpler. What starts to happen when you start to get fucked with as a quarterback? The first thing that starts to happen is the stride gets longer. I'm babying the football to try to be more accurate with the ball. That is the opposite of reactionary. That's processing. So it even illuminates what mental state he's in right now.
At least his heel's down, Austyn.
Yeah, right. I mean, his heel's down, which is much better, but see how he's crouched, he's
Yeah.
overstriding, he's crouched, his hips are not rotating through. His right hip doesn't really ever catch up to his left hip. Instead, he's kind of pushing forward. See how he's still sitting in the chair there? That's not your hips getting through. That's not rotational force through the ground. He's throwing this ball with his upper body, and I don't blame him. He's throwing the ball with his fucking upper body because he's aiming the ball, because all day these guys have been in situations where everything's tight. His ball location, even if it were perfect, he would have had about 7 balls batted down through the game. And like, that's just an indication of shitty concepts against a basic defense.
It gets frustrating to watch. And
see what you make of this as a play call.
it keeps getting worse. So now they put outside 9 and they concept a fucking what is that, a stunt here?
Yeah, it's just
down, and then he's basically TE.
Yeah, it's a basic stunt between the 2 tackles. They're allowed to loop. So basically,
I like how they line him way outside, almost like a 5 technique over Peters with a 9 technique. See how they line up like sprinters, then come inside. His job is just to get that guard to turn.
Yep.
Now the other tackle's coming like a running back through the hole to get to the quarterback. And here we go again. We got to force the ball because we can't protect it. Again, what are the routes, George? You got to curl with the tight end. There's nothing invading to give him a look. There's nothing.
And what does it go back to? Run that thing back to pre-snap. Run that thing back to pre-snap real quick. As you look at the box, once again, this is an insult that they are in a 4-1 box with the Mike linebacker who's down here on the hash. Okay. That guy is not concerned about the box. He's outside of 3. So that means with 5 guys, a 4-1 box, they're going to take on 6 of us, and our fucking quarterback can run. So how about you take a step back?
Draw.
There you go. That's exactly where I was going. Running back inserts inside. You let their stunt work itself out. The running back leads, and Justin Fields follows. That's how you get them back into a 4-2 box. Now they're back into a 4-2 box, and you can throw this fucking concept. But you can't throw this concept foundationally against a 4-1 box. And that's why, like, guys, when they're daring us to run the fucking football, we have to run the football. When they're daring us to throw the football, we have to throw the fucking football. They were daring us to run the ball the whole game, and instead we couldn't run it on first down, and we weren't committed to running it, which I told you guys was ridiculous, that they didn't create any situations with receivers or unbalanced sets just to steal 3 or 4 yards. There's no respect in that capacity. And that's where like your father was saying, it's like, you have to get the offensive line and that running game right before you get anything right. And the reality is, it doesn't even have to be right. It just has to not be abysmal. And it was abysmal, so there's no threat. So you're fucked. You're fucked.
Can we just appreciate this jab step and then hop by Myles Garrett?
Yeah, well, they put him in there. That's what a good defense does.
Yeah,
guard again.
A pretty incredible move.
It is 6'5", 265.
No, he's up near 280, isn't he?
285, my bad. Maybe 293. Give him that. Fuck it. He's phenomenal. That's all you could say.
Go back to the wide. Go back to the wide real quick.
Yeah, sure.
And like, I'll just explain real quick to your viewers, like base RPO, like what base RPO is and what its intention is. So like when you look at this set, like a basic RPO play here would be inside zone right, and then your boundary receiver runs a slant, and you're reading that will linebacker who's the single linebacker in the box. Okay. So you're reading the guy on the hash to the top of the screen. Yep. So what would this tell us here? It's a 4-1 box. We're going to run the fucking ball. Does that linebacker move? Obviously, our split from the single receiver would be wider on a slant. Okay, but it's basic RPO. Let's use the other side of the field. If you flipped the back to the other side of the field and you ran inside zone left, okay, now your third receiver, your tight end, he's going to run a 5-yard hitch. Okay, does the Mike run to take away inside zone left, or does the Mike stay there? In this set, look at this. We're running the fucking ball on a 4-1 box because the Mike is not concerned about your running game at all. That's basic, guys, basic high school fucking, I mean, maybe I'm giving it too much credit. Like this is what Alabama does. This is what Alabama does. They play with your outside backers the entire game to the 3 receiver side and to the single receiver side, and they force you to defend them honestly. You guys and just Nagy, it's not you guys. Nagy wouldn't be me. There's no threat at any time in that game. And that's why, like, do we have talking about Justin's answer? And that was a really smart answer on his behalf. We don't have checks. We have rules. He's basically telling you this guy's a fucking moron. So like, you know, and within that, right, is you're not giving him an opportunity to play the game the way he did at Ohio State. And you can. And if it doesn't work, your defense is so fucking good. It only has to work on 3 drives. And like, that's what's so hard.
Exactly. That's the thing. Like, their defense is equivalent to your defense. Now, granted, our safety, obviously, Eddie Jackson doesn't tackle, and it shows up here on the tape. But to your point, that defense played their butts off. The Chicago Bears defense was phenomenal. I mean, 2 4th-down sacks. You're stuffing this team. It's 13-7 at the half.
Yeah.
Excuse me, 13-6 rather at the half. You're in this football game, and you've never once, to Austin's point, decided 32 is going to help this quarterback, this team win. That would be the goal of any of us coaching this football team. When we got on the bus to go to the stadium, I'd be like, David, you better be ready to carry this rock today. You're getting 22 carries. You're getting 30 touches today. And he would smile with his braces. I got you, coach. And then everybody else would know we're going out there to win and run the ball and open up the offense that way, because that's going to help Justin. The fact that they came to this conclusion, Austyn doing an amazing job. LockedinQb, follow him on Instagram. Follow him everywhere. Austyn Carta-Samuels on Instagram. And just showing you the simplicity of helping your offense get the box. Where's the mic? There has to be a check, Austyn. This can't go with a rookie quarterback. This is the rules. Just run the play. My father, the first ever show that you came on, it's like he's just going up there and just calling plays. You can't have just plays. You got to have rules.
His wheels of misfortune with his rules.
Exactly. So it's so frustrating to watch because it's your charter franchise of the NFL. I've said my piece. Here we go. More tape for you patrons. And you guys watching the show here Friday night, obviously on tape. This is live. We're doing this live with an audience here of patrons getting an inside look at this offensive combustion. I call it negligence. It's not offense. It's negligence. Here we go.
Oh, God.
He's got to throw the arrow right there. He does, right?
I think he throws Montgomery.
Yeah. He throws it to Montgomery. He's not wrong. The corner sagged, so he's not wrong. It's either 3 cloud or cover 6, which just means that corner is a cloud corner, but he sinks, so he takes the flat. Okay. The problem is that this bunch concept being run from these 3 receivers is a man-beating concept. Yet they've been in zone the whole fucking game. So, like, if I were Justin, I would think that I was going to play the boundary as well here, and he just gets to the back because that zone, again, you're running crossers out of a bunch. A bunch is a set to beat man coverage. Why? Because when we have three guys that are in tight alignments, it's hard to pass those routes off. If they're in zone defense, they just laugh at you while you guys all go different directions, you know, because they don't have to adjust to the individual receivers. So
they have their rules, right?
They code the coverage.
Yes, they did their job. You 100%. Made it easier for them, is what Austin's telling you. And here we go again, right here. This is the play you were talking about earlier, Austyn, where David Montgomery makes something out of nothing again. Right. Watch what he does here. It's just the whole Cleveland Brown defense is on. But this, like, I want to make this point because I'm gonna make it in my video series, so I'll just make it here so you, when you're listening or watching that, you'll be like, oh shit, he said that on this show. This is like that moment you would hope, like a coach says, holy shit, this kid's a football player, 32. Like, let's make sure.
He hasn't found out yet.
Like, Austyn, how can that even be? Like, I don't give a shit how much you love passing and love
the problem is, Phil,
with David play.
The problem is for Nagy with David Montgomery is he makes things up as he goes along. He catches the ball and then beats 6 defenders. That's not in the rules, Phil.
You know what, George? Well said. That might be the most asinine, truthful thing I've ever heard. You're trying to understand Nagy. I mean, for him to do the screen earlier is one thing, but to this point here, arrow route, hit it. They're running man concepts against the zone.
Austyn, obviously, this bunch here has a tight end on the outside. I mean, obviously, we've got another tight end there, so it's 21 in the huddle, you know, in terms of what it looks like.
Right.
But even if he swaps these two guys and puts the tight end on the outside, by alignment, then you know whether it's zone or man instinctively, don't you? I mean, you've got two DBs and a linebacker here. That's what it looks like to me is, you know, supposed to deal with the bunch.
Well, there's
two wide receivers and one tight end.
Yeah, there's nobody in head up leverage over those three guys. There's nobody in head up leverage. They're all in zone alignment. So like you already know that this plays in zone. The really frustrating part, guys, and this is what I learned, you know, coaching college football under guys that worked for Art Briles and kind of where the game is going now in collegiate football is like, do you know how easy it is to simply run those three guys out of a bunch all on verticals and clear out that zone so that there's one guy left who's getting soft because of those verticals and then just put Montgomery in the flat right underneath him? Like, it's very easy to flood zones and create one-on-one matchups. There's no zone being flooded on this field right now. None. This is just basic crossing routes. Again, it's a man-beating concept, and they're in zone coverage. So what does Justin do? Justin goes, oh, thanks, shitty play call again. I'm going to throw it to the fucking running back as quickly as I can. Like, that's what he has to do. There was never a chance. There was never a chance pre-snap, never a chance post-snap, and Montgomery makes you right on 3rd and fucking 13. Not to mention it's 3rd and 13. You think they're going to be in a high-risk man defense? Like, asinine.
Oh, my God. What do we got time for? A couple more plays?
Yeah, I just want to. There's a couple more I think that are worthwhile taking a look at.
Bunches again up at the top.
Yeah, and again, similar sort of look, isn't it? It's sort of, you know.
It's the exact same. They're manning the boundary, zoning the field. Now the boundary safety is dropping out. So now you could say that the corner could blitz, or it's just cover 6, 2 to the boundary, 4 to the field, which is what it is.
Oh, this is the play I really want my dad to talk about here, but it's got to be from the coach's angle because I don't understand. And you, Austyn, with your rules, I don't understand the rules of making the guard get up there on the backer on this option. It's clearly Justin getting the edge. He reads it right. The defensive end, the edge guy is coming down, so he pulls. Now he's coming out there. The corner who's zoned sees it. So there should be a pop pass in this where he just rushes to the line and dumps it right to the guy. You get a big play there, but maybe that's not in the rules. But even if not, that guard has to block him, but he's put on an island. So fast forward and go to the coach's side so you could see the angles. It's like I'm thinking Peters has to get up on the backer. So look at the alignment. He's in an inside shade. Watch what they do. They go down with both, and they're asking the guard to get 28. To me, it should be the guard gets that inside shade. The tackle pushes down and gets up at the appropriate angle on that 28. And then you got a big fucking play with a guy that's 240 pounds and runs a 4.4. These are the fucking fundamental flaws that their offensive line just doesn't. Look at this. It's
the
simple.
linebacker is the Rusu Karamo as well, who ran like a 4.4.
Jesus, fuck. Watch what he does. There's no way the guard's getting him. And that's what happens. Let's end.
Well, they got the corner there, too. You got to have an option off that, I think.
Well, that's what I said. We don't know if he has that dump pass.
Yeah, it's got to be built in it.
He doesn't.
Not on that one, he doesn't.
No, yeah.
He has.
I mean, Goodwin looks on it. And
then don't run the play. Don't run the play. Get it out.
I'm telling you, even George went from it. But do you see what I'm saying? Shouldn't the tackle push down and get up on 28? Because he's already got, it's going outside. You're leaving the last man on the line of scrimmage for the read.
The rules in zone are on to on, and your play side gap. It's inside zone right. That one technique was inside shade of the guard. The guard blocks down. That's the rule. The tackle climbs.
Thank you. I'm looking at it. This happens again. Later, and I'm like, this is like insanity to me. It's like, okay, this looks awful for the television audience. But it's worse because you're fundamentally calling for the guard who has an inside shade to get through the inside shade and go all the way back around. No.
Cody Whitehair, to be fair, Phil, Cody Whitehair is known for being super mobile.
When I see that as an offensive line coach, I just lose my mind. I'm like, you're just not helping this kid at all. Rules. To Austin's point, it's just rules.
This is the one that Austyn, to me, this looks like a quarterback who's sort of given up on trying to do anything today. This play.
Yeah, I said the same thing. Just hit David Montgomery here.
Yeah.
Turn, hit the back. Know that you can't force this.
Well, for me.
Or, the smoke route that Austyn, I don't even care. Look at how far off he is. Don't even throw the fade.
Yeah, you have to abuse free access to the field, because what they did was they played tight to the boundary throughout the entire game, and they played loose to the field. Yeah, it's disrespectful to an NFL quarterback's arm. An NFL quarterback's arm can put the ball in the flat to the field. So, yeah, you got to take that. What they're working is a basic snag concept here to the boundary, but the issue is that the read here is supposed to be the will linebacker, which obviously you should throw the ball to the running back. The problem is, and the reason that, it's not a reason for Justin Fields being wrong here, but is when this corner lines up that tight to the nub side like that, that shallow, this concept's fucked. The backer could stay there on the snag route, and the corner could go annihilate David Montgomery. So the concept just doesn't work with a low corner here. So Justin will learn from the tape on this one, but that's why you would play the hitch down here to the bottom of the field. If you do play this, then your read is that outside backer, and the outside backer stays tight. And this is where Justin is a young quarterback, man, and you're in a shit show of a game and you've been sacked fucking 7 times. It's things like this are going to happen.
9 times.
I know. Well, 7 probably
at this point. At this point, he's oh my God. Did he kick his back leg out here? I forgot this play.
Yeah, his mechanics went to shit. They looked bad in the back half of the game.
Oh,
yeah.
He's just like
the issue
is a bow and arrow here.
Correct. And he's finishing very front leg dominant. And the issue with that, guys, is you can get rolled up on and fuck that front knee up very quickly. Zach Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, Tom Brady now.
He does get stepped on by the guard.
Gets steps on. Watch.
Just See it
There you
there?
go. Right.
Yep.
Where Rodgers would have thrown this and faded off the throw. Kyler Murray would have faded off the throw. They would have thrown this ball completely in balance and never had that in their lap like that. And that was the initial, worry for me.
Too much front foot. Just like you said.
Yeah.
He's rolling forward.
And guys,
Austyn is one badass dude.
Appreciate it, guys. Basic quarterback shit, guys. There's a pull that goes down the middle of our body. We're really a spiral rotating on that pull. So everything should stay balanced. We should be rotating
like a golf swing.
Yes, like a golf swing. Like a golf swing. That's a little bit down and up. Like we're going to stay down and just rotationally through. But either way, you're just spinning like a stripper around a pole. Like that's what you're supposed to be doing, right? Instead, he's pushing off that back foot coming forward. And it's because he's just mentally, he's a little rattled and he's trying to guide the ball more and make sure every decision is right. That's the opposite of what the best in the league.
If we can get you to record a public message for Matt Nagy, what would it be?
My basic thing would just be, dude, you got one of the best defenses in the league. Instead of being the most conservative fucking play caller of all time, because you have the best defensive player in the league, create easy running situations with unbalanced sets and motions from the backfield that create unbalanced formations where you can run the ball for 4 and 5 yards and then take 8 to 10 really exotic plays and rep them with your professional football team throughout practice for 5 fucking days and get them ready to execute at pivotal moments in the game with those 8 to 10 plays. And other than that, just allow Justin Fields to operate the way that Justin Fields has operated his whole life. Like Ryan Day allowed the game to come to him by flooding zones, running the football, using Justin's legs. You didn't do any of that. So the big thing is just stop being a pussy and start to actually allow your defense to be inspired, because the issue is 4 or 5 games from now, the defense will start to shut down. And that's the big concern.
You already have a locker room culture that is used to the offense struggling. You got Khalil Mack, Robert Quinn, Akeem Hicks, Roquan Smith. These guys are showing up on tape. You got Justin Fields, the hype, the energy. You're in this game, Austyn. It's not like you're out of this is 50-0. You're in this game. Everything this man has brought to the table with my guy Bearlissimo, using the film to show you this isn't like, hey, let's get out there with the stats of the game and talk about it.
Well, I've got something for the stat nerds if you want to just quickly, Phil.
And my George's only problem is he cuts me off in the middle of my greatest thoughts. You got it coming right up, George. But all of you guys, my father, breaking down the offensive line, breaking down these things. But Austyn Carta-Samuels is what Rick Riggs said. He's just an awesome thesaurus as well as dictionary, encyclopedia of football, from kinesiology and anatomy to physics to every part of this. That's why I want him on this network more. That's why Bearlissimo, my executive producer here, was the guy. Phil, you gotta meet this guy. This is the true story. You gotta meet this guy. You're gonna love him because he can articulate the things that you're saying on this level. He's on this other level tier, and that I have no problem tipping my hat. You would be the first guy I hired. You would be my offensive coordinator right out the rip if I was the head coach, because I recognizes real. As Otis, I'm just letting you know, George Bearlissimo said, Phil, we're going to have Austyn on. We got to get him on. Austyn wanted to come on. Yes, we're going to have him on. And Phil, we got to make, obviously for the patrons first, but we got to make this public because everybody's got to see us breaking this down. So Otis, Bearlissimo was way ahead of you. I'm giving him the credit because that was the plan. So yes, Austyn, where are you coaching now? One of the fans, where do you coach now?
Yeah, so we got I'm coaching. So I've obviously been at Mizzou. I was at Mizzou the last 6 years. Then I left and started my business, which is going extremely well. We have 17 college quarterbacks, and so I coach those 17 guys all over the country. And then we have about 25 elite high school guys and then local guys. But I'm coaching at Menlo High School also in California. I'm just an offensive coordinator. I love, interacting with those guys, even though I don't have to. And I really enjoy just building them. And right now we're second in the state in passing and we're 4-0. So we're kicking ass and things are going well, man. But, this is just the start for me, guys. And LockedinQb, if you guys can support, especially on Instagram right now, it's definitely changing. It's changing an industry. It really is. It's changing an industry because for so long, the quarterback position has been coached very robotically and very mechanically. And as you guys are seeing, the integration of RPO and the way that the game has changed and evolved over the last decade specifically, that old style and old rules of the past are dead. And in fact, they're fucking kids up all over the country. And so after working with Drew Lock at Mizzou, and then my brother is the top passer in all of Europe and the MVP of the European League, I've just learned, awesome. I've learned in deep detail what mechanics are. And then I look back at my fucking tape and I wince as a 32, Division I college game starter and a hell of a player. Like, I was not efficient, man. And so we're out to change all that for all these quarterbacks. We're helping recruits all over the country because I was the director of recruiting at Missouri at an SEC school as well. And there's a lot of truth that we're providing to the community. So, this is very philanthropic, but it's also my passion. And so, I'm coaching fucking everywhere to answer your question.
Can I just as well make a recommendation, Austyn, on your behalf? If anyone knows any young quarterbacks or aspiring quarterbacks, whether collegiate or high school, have a look not only at LockedinQb but LockedIn Mindset as well, because the work you do on that, Austyn, is absolutely critical for any young player. Well, that's not just QBs. I think everyone can take something.
Well, for you guys and the viewership, it's we're in the biggest crisis we've ever faced as it pertains to mental health, and a lot of people say that and can't fucking explain it. Guys, kids born after the year of 2000, which represents Generation Z, has the same level of anxiety on average as a 1950 psychiatric patient. Why is that? It's the heavy consumption of messaging and a period of affirmation as they're young with all of this shit online and phones and all these things. And so it's an unspoken narrative that truthfully, football is my vehicle. Football is my vehicle. I'm fucking good at it. Obviously, I've coached at the highest level and done what I needed to do to get to the point where I know all of it. But I have my master's in psychology and my undergraduate degree in psychology. So there's a lot bigger shit behind what I do. And that's where we're going. And, in 5 years, 10 years, everyone will know who the fuck I am. Like, I'll just say it that way.
That's why I want you on here.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I got one last little mic drop on the stats as well for you. So if you just,
I mean that as a compliment to you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
This is actually the breakdown from Sunday's game, Austyn. Short left, short right, short middle, deep right. You notice something that's missing?
Deep left?
Anything over the middle?
Yeah, nothing. Wow.
Nothing over the middle. 56% of plays short left. 3 completions on 13 attempts, 23% completion.
Yeah.
Short right, 4 completions of 7 attempts, 57% completion.
All split field mirrored concepts as opposed to
mirrored.
As opposed to anything that's pure progression, anything that's full field progression. And I study Ohio State. Like, they're 80 to 90% full field progression. So
exactly
the opposite of what he did.
This is short middle, and this is deep middle.
Yeah.
All zeros.
It's disgusting.
Against cover 2, 4, and 6.
Let's just say this. Austyn just showed you an empathetic side of the beast. Dad, as a head coach of 33 years, you've always said football is 90% mental, this game. You have to have a toughness about you, but you also have to know your fundamentals and assignments and apply what you learn in the classroom to the field in order to perform. So if there is sadness or anxiety or doubt, that takes away, whether it be quarterback or any position, left tackle, you start to talk to this yourself. I can't do this. I'm terrible. I thought I can play in the NFL, but I guess I can't. you have to have a mental fortitude that Austyn reached out to me and said, Phil, I'm worried about this coach destroying Justin Fields' mental state. And once you lose that, you have the David Carr story. You have the guy that was great, had all the talent, and just got beat up and just knocked out of the league. We can't let that happen here. And it's unfortunate. That kind of like sets the deck of how this relationship between us all comes together, because Austyn, you initiated this show with Bearlissimo, obviously. And I think it's imperative that Bears fans unite, understand what it is that this coach's clinic basically today about the whole process of football, the brotherhood, and hopefully, we don't even know if just the head coach didn't have the balls. Dad, you called me up. What did you say about this coach when you saw the presser? Go ahead. Tell me what you said.
I don't remember what I said.
When he said, I don't know who's going to be the start. What did you say? Remember when he said it could be Foles, it could be.
I said, what a ridiculous thing that is. I mean, that is so unintelligent a statement. I mean, you already established that this kid is going to start for you, and now you're going to bail out on this kid? Come on. This kid is worthy of good coaching, and he's not getting it. That's the problem.
One thing
I see it in every position. I see the offensive line. Basic stuff that I taught in high school, they don't do. Jab, step, and explode. Jab, step, point to the person you're going to block. My God, I can't believe it. You don't take a step left or left to go right.
Exactly.
Got a quick question for you, Austyn. Are we in danger of looking at a Sam Darnold in terms of what Sam Darnold had with Gase, and obviously he's changed culture, he's changed the environment now to someone who's got an idea about calling plays, and he's looking like a different player. Is that what we're seeing here from Nagy? That he's so rigid in what he's doing that everyone knows what he's going to do before he does it, and it's just going to get him hiding to nothing every week.
Yeah, I mean, you're watching what Zach Wilson's doing with the Jets. It's the same shit. So I think what's good about Sam is that Sam was able to stay mentally resilient because he said, this is such a fucking dumpster fire. This is not an indication of who I am as a player. So, if I was ownership of the Bears, I would tell Matt Nagy, hey, we're going to sit Justin Fields the rest of the year. He's not going to play so that I can fire you at the end of the season and get him somebody who can teach him football from start to finish instead of fucking paralyzing him before his career starts. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff at work here. But the Darnold situation, I mean, it's unfolding right in front of your eyes with the Jets. Like Zach Wilson is a very good thrower of the football. He can't do shit because of the team and the way the organization is run. Like that's the way the Bears are offensively right now. And the fucked up part is the Bears have a lot more talent than the Jets do on the offensive side of the football.
I got to say something to you in reference to that, Donnell. And I told this to Phil. I remember the media in New York City were talking about Donnell when he was drafted, and they finally said, we got to, and this is from Boomer Esiason, they can tell you that he said this kid is definitely the quarterback for the future. And he failed. But all of a sudden, this guy that Vinny Sinagra coached with, and when he was at Temple, he became the coach at Baylor, and now he's there. This guy's a great coach. When they signed him, I said, I am so glad because this kid is going to make it. He's finally got
Carolina you're talking about.
Yes, exactly. And it's happening.
Yes.
And I knew it was going to happen because that kid was a good quarterback. Watching him at USC and what he's done.
You're getting emotional about this.
Oh, yeah. I hate to see. I'm agreeing with
I'm seeing the emotion in you.
You can't let people down. You can't destroy people. If you don't have the answer, ask. I would take this guy and put him right in with the Bears right now as an offensive coordinator. Right now, I would hire him and fire the other guy. Get rid of him.
I agree, Dad. I agree.
One last question for Austyn, if I may indulge.
Yeah. I could tell you're a great teacher. I'm going to tell you right now.
My father's giving you praise. That doesn't get higher than that in my book.
A lot of people that give me compliments I don't give a shit about. Your wisdom, sir, I'll take that, man. I thank you very much.
Appreciate it, but hey,
George,
I don't know that higher echelon of teaching reads and all that stuff. I never had to do that, and if I was taught that, I would have known it. But
So,
the stuff you're telling me, I'm being educated. Believe me.
My question, Austyn, is last year when we saw Bill Lazor, when Nagy had to give over the calling plays, we saw Bill Lazor run from under centre. We saw him run heavy tight end sets. We saw him run delayed drag releases from tight ends, zone floods and crosses. Primarily, that's what he ran. If you've got Justin Fields or even Andy Dalton at this stage with this Bears offense, is that going to be a better option than what we're seeing from Nagy?
I mean, the reality is anything's a better option than what you're watching right now. You know, like that's the reality. So yeah, absolutely. But then it comes into this really tough thing that exists within coaching is you have a head coach who controls the game and plays the statistics so much through his lens that you chop the balls off your offensive coordinator too. And so, you know, I don't know what the organization looks like with the Bears in terms of that relationship between the two of them, but you can take away the head coach's play calling and still get the same shit from the offensive coordinator because the head coach is still the one, you know, making sure that he controls what he wants controlled. And so it's a philosophical change that needs to happen. And that philosophical change would have to be that the head coach is open to adapting to a different way of seeing and playing offensive football. And that with a control freak, like through his interviews, you know, that's what I continue to see is just, he's just controlling for no reason. And so with that existing in the organization, it's really hard to think, regardless of who the play caller is, that would change. And I know that that's not very awe-inspiring, but you know, if he's willing to say like, I'm probably going to fucking get fired, let's just try to do some different things. That would probably be the best thing for the organization.
What are the whys, right? What are the whys? And so when we all understand what the whys are, whatever that is.
I'm telling you, how stupid is that?
Dad, thank you.
Nagy's sadly, Nagy's a narcissist.
Oh my God, you can't make it up.
Nagy's a narcissist, and he showed that last year, taking back the play call in the last 2 games of the season and demanding that he was the play caller from the start of this year. So he's not going to change. So when we fire Nagy or we get him fired, Austyn, are you available? I mean, are you right to come to a cold weathering climate? Are you free and available?
Shit, man. I'm going to go get that fucking thing right with your quarterback. I can't promise that I'll be there forever, but I'll definitely go save that shit show because it's burning right now, and I'm not cool with that because at the end of the day, humans suffer. You know, those offensive linemen are now being told that they all suck. They don't suck. Their scheme fucking sucks. And how they're playing in that scheme fucking sucks. Justin Fields doesn't suck. He's just being, now kids are saying, oh, maybe Justin Fields isn't very good. No, he's fucking good. And that affects people on a human level. And I get that they have, you know, nice padded bank accounts to a certain extent, but that doesn't mean shit when it comes down to the way that it makes your heart feel and getting your ass kicked and getting embarrassed when you don't have an opportunity to change it. It's one of the most helpless feelings in the world. And that's what some of those guys are experiencing. It's fucked up.
I can't thank you enough. This is a question yesterday. I want you guys let's react to it. There's no razzle dazzle in this. I played the razzle dazzle one last night. I'm keeping it 100. If you missed Matt Waldman with us last night, you missed an epic show. It's already got over 4,000, almost 6,000 views now, something like that. George was telling me. So great show last night. God, it's must-see TV. Just watching him talk about will he give up play calls. And guys, he goes on a 4-minute dissertation, never answering the question. It is must-see TV as I break it down in the TTNL humor way. You got to laugh at some point. But here is the double down. Mark Grody, friend of our network, who also will be on the show in 2 weeks' time. He asks, are there going to be any changes on the offensive line? Watch how he answers this question.
Is it possible that there'll be personnel changes, like do something differently on the offensive line? Is that something?
Again, that would fall into the play call and stuff. I'm just, you know, I did what I can say to answer that is that we've gotten together and talked about the whys of why everything happened and the belief that we have in these players and where they're at. I just think that we feel pretty good right now with that, and we understand, like, hey, listen, here's the deal. Here's how we get better, and we can help you with it.
Matt, you talked about
back to
So he says that scheme. I'm giving away the plays if I tell you that. And then he never answers it, basically saying
personnel.
It's exactly. There's no play. It's personnel. So Austyn, just put a bow on this. I know what my dad thinks about this, but he's basically saying what there?
Yeah, he's basically saying that my scheme's fucking terrible. I mean, if the personnel up front is not a problem and you're not contemplating the idea of making personnel changes, then that directly means that your scheme is inefficient. So, you know, when you guys have been dealing with what you've been dealing with offensively for as many years as you have, it's like, how many fucking bows and excuses can this guy put on stuff? And so as you get down to this one, it's just, I mean, either tell everybody that the offensive line sucks or tell us why your scheme is not allowing them to block properly and do the things that they're supposed to do. He just stayed in the gray. He didn't give you shit in that answer. And, you know, that's pretty much what he's more focused on at this point, probably, than his offensive scheme is, you know, just finding ways to survive, I would imagine.
He's Austyn Carta-Samuels. Find him on Instagram, where he does most of his work. As the fans are telling you right now, just a tremendous job. I truly appreciate you jumping on here. If you're watching this show Friday night, right there is how you become a patron. I'm making sure that Austyn becomes more of a regular, and we have to get you on Keeping It 100 on the big show in the nighttime, as well as Bears Hour Live. When you tell me, Phil, I'm watching Bears today, and you're in that realm, I want you to come on the show right after the Bears game, if you can, if you could do that. So I don't mean to throw you on under the bus here live on the TV, but I want you to come on, because instant reaction to me to this game, obviously my rants are making songs and stuff like that, is the reality of how great this game is and how important Austyn coming on here, talking about the mental health aspect and the concern. This is real concern. This is like, Phil, I want to come on the show to promote myself. This is like, I feel like something bad is going to happen to a young football player that's so talented, that's so much better. It is on fire. And if you're just tuning in now, you got to start from the top, where we break down the tape and we go over everything. For my dad, Coach Ottochian Sr., for my guy, Bearlissimo, the executive producer here on X's with the O's, and for the amazing guest, Austyn Carta-Samuels at LockedinQb on Instagram. I want to thank you guys all for joining the pop-up show, and this will be live as Otis Nichols, patron number 1 wanted, Friday night. It will premiere at 6 o'clock East on our Tape Never Lies YouTube channel. So if you're watching that right here live, you're getting the benefit of that great game of football. God bless you. Great show. Great stuff. Anybody
nice
have
you,
anything?
Austyn. I'll tell you.
Absolutely. Very nice to meet you too.
I'm gonna be looking forward to seeing where you're going next.
Absolutely.
I mean, high school is great, but there are a lot of shoemakers out there. You should be taking some of these jobs. Believe me.
I don't do high school for money, man. My mission's being fulfilled and it's being served. I'm just a ball coach and I want to stay involved in coaching. But the reality is that college and pro shit can keep itself up there, man. Because for me, I'm doing something a lot bigger than that. And
That's wonderful.
I'd be happy to share that with you and talk to you about it. It's great to meet you.
Yeah. Well, that's great to hear from you.
Yes, sir.
Bearlissimo. Thank you, brother. Another
you don't need to
amazing
thank
job.
you don't need to thank me. I'm just glad that, you know, when I was talking about thinking fast and slow all those years ago with Austyn, that you know, he decided to take a chance on coming on with us, and it's I'm just I knew what was going to happen for you, Austyn, because you are telling the truth and you live in it, and you are.
Yes, sir.
The proof of the pudding is already shown in the kids that you've been working with and their development into college. So, you know, this applies to whether you're an elite athlete or not. If you just want to play QB, then you need to be unlocked in QB, and you need to be unlocked in mindset, because it's gonna help you no matter what the outcome. The outcome is you will be a better person and a better QB for spending time with Austyn, and our audience are wiser and better for having had you on. So thank you, brother.
Thank you very much, Bearlissimo. I appreciate you guys, man.
God bless you. Thank you all for joining. We'll see you on X's with the O's Saturday morning. We'll be breaking down what Austyn called an amazing defense, and we'll be looking at why all these blog boys are so fired up in their oatmeals that Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn are that good. It'll be live Saturday morning, just like today, with Bearlissimo and myself and my father breaking down the tape, because as my father taught me, the tape never lies. The tape never